Welcome to the Expert Network Team podcast,
where our goal is to inform and educate our listeners on matters related to finance, legal, insurance, accounting, and other interests that are of personal and business nature.
We hope you will find our content useful as well as entertaining. The Expert Network team consists of Karl Frank of A&I Financial, Mike Miller of Miller & Associates CPAs, Jeff Cromendike of Security First Insurance Agency, and I'm Nathan Merrill. I'm an attorney at Goodspeed Merrill.
Together, our independent team combines our expertise to provide you insights and solutions, some straightforward, some profound, for real-life opportunities we see on a daily basis. We hope you enjoy the information contained in today's podcast and find it useful. If you'd like to learn more or desire to meet with any of the Expert Network team members in person, you can contact us at info@expertnetworkteam.com. That's info@expertnetworkteam.com.
We encourage you to take advantage of a free consultation with any of our team members. Just mention this podcast when you schedule your appointment.
Now on to today's podcast.
Welcome to today's podcast. My name is Karl Frank, and with me I've got Nate Merrill. Hi, Nate.
Hello there.
We are celebrating the end of 2020 with...
Celebrating?
It's coming to a close, my friend.
Okay.
It's about time. What a year.
Yeah, I guess you could take the celebrating in two different ways. You're celebrating that it's finally over, or you're celebrating because you survived it and it's worthy of celebration. So
both of those things are exactly true.
Absolutely.
We have so many things to be thankful for. The news, the headlines are not among the things to be thankful for this year.
Don't even pay attention to them anymore.
Oh my gosh. How
for the
can
most
you?
part.
Seriously. What, I mean, you'd be societally impaired. You'd be suicidal. You'd be just insane.
The good news is I can actually pay attention to the sports page now.
Oh, no.
You know, the NBA has started up, and that's really usually my life for about 8 months out of the year.
I thought you were going to rub it in that my CU Buffaloes lost to Utah.
Oh.
It was horrible. We were undefeated.
We
looked
do that
so
too.
good. No, don't do it. Don't do it. You're talking basketball, though. That's okay.
I think that will be our only victory for the year. We didn't play half our games on top of the fact that we
didn't either.
Didn't show up at half of our games.
I know. It was horrible. CU didn't either. And I still have in basketball the Nuggets victory last year over the Jazz, so I'll still be happy over that.
You can relish in it for another
I will relish in
months.
it. Very good. But we digress.
Sure do.
And this is a fun topic today. We're going to talk about words from 2020 that the 2020 is really ruined.
Yeah, ruined and I'd call it favorite, least favorite words used in 2020.
Oh my
because
gosh.
Some of these words were quite honestly ruined probably before 2020, but they've taken on new meaning through this whole event.
Absolutely.
Lexicon sometimes gets saturated with usage, and
year,
sometimes just the frequency of it makes you be like, I never want to hear that word again.
Not even once.
Yeah.
It's
so
horrible.
where do you want to start?
The most obvious, Zoom.
Zoom.
Are you kidding me? I don't want to Zoom again in my life.
It actually makes me feel like an adolescent again, because adolescents with their lingo. Hey, I can't even replicate it, but I feel like it's adult adolescent lingo, which is, hey, Zoom me.
Right, exactly. It's slang.
It's like Tinder for responsible adults or something. Like, hey, let's do a Zoom.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's risque.
It does sound a little sexy there. That's a little crazy. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, Zoom to an event. Yeah, it's got a totally different meaning. And I'm not saying the company's great. The experience is great. It's easy. It's fun. But a Zoom Thanksgiving at once is enough for the Frank family.
You actually did that for Thanksgiving.
We did, and it was once is enough. I mean, we got to see each other, but.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point you make, and this gets a little into the psychological realm. Is we all used Zoom. I mean, our firm used it right out of the gates, and it was mostly because it was the most obvious way to stay connected. Because that's the thing we were concerned about the most, was the workforce staying connected. But pretty quickly, everybody's got zoomed out.
Yeah.
And so, you almost wanted to just be like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
So Zoom facilitated good things, and then it became this burden, and so. But it is like the Xerox of
our era
of virtual meetings,
of
or the
year.
Kleenex of our virtual meetings, which is you can say, hey, I'm going to Zoom you. I'll be sending you a Teams invite.
Exactly.
Because nobody knows what Teams is, but
Mm-hmm.
but that's becoming a very widely used platform. And there's Ring Central, there's Citrix. I mean, there's all sorts
these
of
other
platforms,
solutions,
but it's all
sure.
Zoom.
Right. So there you go. That's my word.
So that's your word. So I'm going to tell you what my favorite word is, and this is in part because I do fancy myself a bit of a history buff, and so with an extensive view of not only American history but world history. My wife is actually teaching a world history class right now, so a lot of this stuff comes up whenever she says, "Did you know that this happened back at this point in time?" And I'm like, no, that's pretty serious. That's a significant event, especially when you're talking world history. So without further ado, my new least favorite word, and it probably is my least favorite even before 2020, is unprecedented.
Unprecedented.
This is unprecedented. And to me, it's hardly precedent at all. I mean...
As in it has happened before?
As in it has, yes. Mm-hmm. As in we have been through this before. And I actually relied on that. I early on with my firm, my team, I tried to emphasize to them that what we're going through is not so unique that it's going to shape our destiny. In fact, I pointed out that my grandfather lived through... the Spanish
flu,
the Great Depression,
Huge
two
deal.
World Wars, and the Hong Kong flu. And in all my dealings with my grandfather, not once did he bring up any of those events as shaping his destiny.
Is that right?
And so, unprecedented just doesn't work for me. And my favorite meme that many people may have seen that matches this is the one that says 2020 is the worst year ever, unless you've lived in any other time in the world history, right?
It's so true.
We think that our time is the absolute worst, and it's like, well, you can if you know anything about history, you can start racking up pretty quickly.
The only thing that's unprecedented is the history you don't know.
That's profound. That is absolutely profound, and a great way to wrap up. Unprecedented, because I really don't want to talk about it anymore.
We don't want to go any further into that one.
So your next word?
My next word is existential. We live in a time of existential threat. Everything is an existential threat, whether it's climate change, whether it's the presidential politics. Now we're looking forward to new elections. It's an existential threat.
Kind of goes hand in hand with that unprecedented, doesn't it?
It does. It's overused. It's crazy. And here's what I think of when I think of existential. I think of existentialism. I think of college days when we sat around on the lawn at CU Boulder in the sunshine, in the summer, laying around thinking, what is and what isn't? Jacques Derrida, just crazy ivory tower, nonsensical philosophy. That's existentialism. And that's really what this word has gone into.
That could also explain why Utah beat the CU Buffs this year, because that kind of stuff does not happen.
It doesn't happen in Utah?
Not when I was there.
Oh, you're missing out. Where's your college
We
experience?
We all knew where we were going. We didn't have to contemplate.
You were driven?
Yeah. No.
To be or not to be. That's existentialism. And everything is not an existential threat. It's an overused word.
Right.
Bring it down into reality.
Right. Well, it kind of is another word. I don't necessarily associate this word with 2020, but it goes hand in hand with that, is how often people use literally.
Literally.
It literally was the worst day, or actually that's probably an appropriate use, but people use literally to say like they were literally doing this, and you're like, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally?
I know. It literally happens all the time.
It literally happens all the time. People literally use literally all the time.
Yeah, incorrectly.
Right.
Repeatedly.
Yeah. There's an actual funny sketch comedy on words that get overused, like literally or said wrong or something like that, but that's for a different
very
audience.
Good.
So my next word, I'll pick one that's a little fun, is COVID.
Oh my gosh, the word of the year.
The word of the year. What a lot of people don't really understand about COVID is that it is not necessarily associated just with this particular pandemic. COVID is is a type of virus, right?
Yeah.
So like SARS, I think, was a COVID.
Yeah.
And avian flu was a COVID. And so
Right.
how we just now decided to adopt this COVID as, I guess it's also called Corona, but more people refer to it as COVID, right? So I actually have a fun twist on COVID, a way to make it a positive kind of jest type of experience, which is to say I've got COVID-19. It's the 19 pounds I've put on sitting at home at my desk since COVID started. Because I'll tell you, I was really good. I have a Fitbit, and I could tell you that I was constantly not moving before COVID because I would log about 3,500 steps a day. I now will sometimes log a whopping 1,800 steps a day.
Oh my gosh! Right?
Call it unintended consequences of COVID. Like if we don't allow people to start moving around, we're all going to die of significant
sedentary behavior. It's so true. The COVID-19. I love it.
COVID-19.
You got your COVID-19.
Flattering.
I've been talking to more and more people about that. It's so true. We're all gaining weight. It's crazy.
Yeah.
My gym, we love it, right? And we're spending a fortune to not go.
Yeah.
It just drives you crazy, right? You can't get in there and do what you need to do to be healthy.
Well, now you've joined the 90% of other patrons before COVID who never went.
Who never went,
right.
exactly. So we're, we are huge skiers. And at the ski area we like to go to, we didn't have to have reservations until today. So from here forward, we're joining the rest of the world. And even though we have a season pass, we're going to have to make reservations to go to our own ski area.
I was going to say, so isn't like buying tickets enough of a reservation? But because of the season pass, you actually have to tell them when you're coming?
Because they're too crowded. Because, you can probably catch COVID in the cold air skiing down the slope. It's a dangerous situation.
Breathing into your ski mask.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I can't understand
It's unprecedented.
It is. It's mass paranoia.
We didn't have that one on here. Paranoia would be a good word for 2020.
Paranoia, I think, might be the way we look back at this year. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, we survived this year. We're going to survive this year. And COVID is the word of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to put a positive spin on it. So,
well, very good. Well, this is a fun one. It was a great podcast. It's a short one. That might be a great way to end it.
Well, let me do one other one.
One other.
Here.
I love it.
So
okay.
the social distancing. And the only reason why I like this word is because it is a godsend to someone who's asocial like myself to say, "Oh, I'm sorry,
for the introvert.
We can't come over. There's too many people at that gathering." It's just like a built-in excuse not to do all the socially uncomfortable things that you're normally awkward at anyway.
You get to do the social distance.
So what a godsend, COVID was to send us social distancing. It's something I'm planning on making a regular part of my life.
Of your life.
Going forward. It's like, it's 6 feet.
Sorry, social distance.
Step back.
Keep me safe.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'll nod at you and we'll call that networking for today. But social distancing. Okay, so here's my little funny thing on social distancing.
Yeah.
I saw it on Facebook, which is the old social distancing, I guess. That was the way to really do social-ing distance-wise. But someone posted this picture of just some movie scene, but they superimposed Einstein and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Pythagoras' faces on these three characters. And two of them were holding one person back like he was lunging forward because it said, in COVID, we're science-based. Our response to COVID is science-based. And it was a social distancing map. And it had 4 people, and it showed arrows between all 4 people,
all 4
even
arrows.
Across the diagonal.
Of course, yeah.
Saying 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet. Even the ones in the center. This is mathematically impossible. Right.
Yes,
so they had like Pythagoras jumping out of his skin. Like,
saying, you can't do this.
You can't do that. But it just, it was funny. I shared that with my kids, and they were actually bright enough to pick up on it. So see if you can find that. And if you want to know if your kids are understanding math, ask them to point out why it's funny to you.
I love it.
It hit my funny bone, which is like...
That sums up the year.
It sums up the year. Just
it might be mathematically impossible.
To social distance 6 feet from everybody.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
Which could be another word for another day.
Yeah. So that's what I feel is the fun one to end on personally. So.
I love it. Well, very good. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everybody. And we'll see you in the new year.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the information we shared.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to share it with someone else. And join us next time.
If you want to meet with a member of the team, please contact us at info@expertnetworkteam.com. That's info@expertnetworkteam.com.
If you have special topics you'd like to hear about, please reach out to us and let us know at the same email address. Again, that's info@expertnetworkteam.com. Thank you for joining us and have a great day. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We want to remind you that listening to this podcast does not establish a client-professional relationship with any of the firms represented, nor does it constitute legal, investment, or accounting advice, and the views are those of the professionals only.
Investment advisory services may be provided through A&I Financial Services, and securities may be provided through Genios Wealth Management.